Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jerred Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Ashley Hicks, Kyle Schrum, and Joe Courtney, lady and gentleman.
Hi.
Oh, that makes me feel
Morning.
nice.
What makes you feel nice?
As the
Being
lady.
called a gentleman.
No.
It's a stretch. All right,
As the lady.
Kyle, go ahead, man.
Oh,
Lay it on
man.
us.
Okay. All right. So my updates are, well, I'll do the more boring one first. COVID shenanigans have hit the Schrum house. One of the
You have
kids
COVID?
No, one of our kids, one of the kids at daycare had a fever yesterday, and turns out her dad tested positive for COVID the same day. So Hannah and the kids are at home with me today, and so that's been good. And not sure when we'll get to go back to daycare, and so workflow is going to be much different this week.
Sounds like 2021 is when that will happen.
So not sure what's going on with that, but anyway, so also not sure if our kids have to get tested or not. Like, the girl's dad tested positive. She has not tested positive as of yet. So if she tests positive, our kids have to test anyway. So I have strong feelings about that. I'm not going to share those here. I'll just move on. Yesterday,
No.
I have strong feelings when you use the words "have to." So that's where I get.
Yeah.
Because I was it was an event earlier this year that I was going to speak at, and there was another guy who wanted to speak there who said he'd only come if I was also tested for COVID. And I was like, I don't mind getting tested for COVID, but I mind that you're forcing me to get
Right.
tested for COVID, so I'm not coming. And then that was over. So
I'd
there's
probably do
my
the same.
stance on that. You can't
Yeah.
make me
Yeah,
do what I
that's-
don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty similar to what especially when you're not really forcing me, but forcing my 4 and 2
It's
year
even
old.
worse, right?
Like, I'm not about that. So anyway, and then yesterday, so for the more entertaining one, I guess, yesterday I had a box jump mishap. Out of all the box jumps that I've done, I forgot
pretty gnarly.
to, yeah. We were supposed to do high box jumps for BCT, and I have a low ceiling here in my basement, but I've done 30-inch box jumps down here before. I can't stand up all the way. I had to kind of tuck my head down and stuff to make sure that I still try to get full hip extension, but I'll bump my head if I stand all the way up. And so I was concentrated on tucking my head down before I got on top of the box. And so that was rep number 1. So it was the first rep. So moral of the story, keep your eyes focused and your brain focused on doing your box jumps. But I hit my leg not in 1, not in 2, but in 3 different places.
I had never seen that before
on
when you
my
sent
way
the
down.
picture.
You right?
It was 2
'Cause-
bloody spots on the shin and 1 on the knee, and I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's like you were rolling around with the box or something.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hey man, when I mess things up, I go all out. So that's just how it goes.
I
Anyway.
bet you were angry too.
Oh yeah. I asked
Kyle angry face is the best.
I asked the Lord's forgiveness for the rage fueled profanities that came out. That was, I'm glad no one was
Interested
here
to
to hear
see
it.
the hip extension with the head down and like what that even looks like. Like
Yeah,
I just
it's just kind of to the side. Yeah, maybe I'll try to take a picture later. I'll just crawl up on I'm not going to jump on it. I'll just crawl up slowly on the box and get a picture of what it looks like.
Well, now you just have to video the whole thing.
No,
You crawl on the box.
All right. That'll be a couple weeks after my shins are good. Anyway. All right. I'm done.
Well, yeah. Anyone else ever had a box jump mishap?
One. That's all it takes is one. And then you learn to jump high enough.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
Mine left a good chunk out of my knee. And then I remember like after I cleaned myself up, it was like the very first round of the workout back when I was at a CrossFit gym. And I went back to the box and it was like, oh, there's a nice chunk of my leg and a whole bunch of hair just on the edge of the box. It's like, that's disgusting.
Yep. I left one of those behind yesterday.
My box.
You should leave it there as a reminder.
No, I couldn't handle it. I saw it sitting there. I couldn't handle it. I had to throw it away. I couldn't have just left it there. That's gross. All right.
It's human flesh. All right, Ashley. How's
Yo.
life?
Life is good. I feel like I'm getting a intro into BCT track with today's mile repeats. And like I was telling the boys, running is fun because I push a stroller and a 34-pound man-child in said stroller. So mile repeats don't look as fast as they probably would without the stroller. But anyways, yeah, life is good because I went to my doctor and now I am I kind of know what's going on. My cortisol levels are still super low. I am ridiculously anemic. I have a multivitamin that has iron in it as well as an iron supplement. So we're throwing around potentially having to replace my cortisol. So my doctor would have to give me cortisol essentially. And then need some thyroid function help. So just more blood work to kind of see like how everything is going. I have to get clearance from my ENT to make sure that it's cool that I get some thyroid supplementation, amongst trying to watch what's going on with it. But anyways, the human body is crazy and I'm glad that I'm not a doctor, but holy moly, functional medicine doctors are amazing. And they've got they just listen to things and they're like, oh yeah, this is this and this is this. And it's like a puzzle. It's like they put pieces of the puzzle together and it's really cool to be on the receiving end of that. So yeah, really, really excited to see what will happen and what we'll do there. But yeah. Oh, and last week of drag crap, also known as such a drag, I call it drag crap, is done. And my abs, thank you, Jerred Moon, but not really. Anyways.
We don't normally have 3 blocks of core work programmed all in one day.
And I always find my lower back with the dragging of the plank. That's what kind of like cinches sometimes too. So, yeah.
So anemic, is that when you can take a penny and scratch it on your arm and it leaves a black line?
I've never heard of that. It's
that sounds like a school kid trick that they did on you.
If you're low in iron, because it would never work on me, but girls, because they're usually low in iron, if you take a penny and scratch it on your arm, it leaves a black line. I'm pretty sure if you can find a penny, I don't even know if they exist anymore.
I challenge the validity of this.
It's science.
From a science-based podcast.
I'll try it. I'll video it. We'll see.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I'll be on the edge of my seat for that one.
On the edge of your feet?
Edge of my seat.
Oh, they said feet.
Stacking my papers. I'm looking to see if I have a penny right now. I'm about to test my arm. I don't.
Well, you're
probably not anemic.
Yeah.
I could be.
Nah.
I use a cast iron skillet.
I mean,
there you go.
So
you
do
just
we.
lick the pan afterwards. Hey, my iron.
He didn't say what he used it for. It could
You
be for
shave
random stuff.
some pieces of it off. Once you're done with your food, you just kind of shave some off the bottom.
Yeah, well, it's kind of falling apart, so it just kind of gets in the food.
Gracious.
That can't be bad for you, right?
Yeah.
Why do you guys think I'm not anemic?
Because guys don't really get anemic.
Why was that so laughable? No, I'm just messing around. I don't want to be anemic.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like your energy levels would be a little bit different too when you're anemic. Not always.
Yeah. Do you think it could be a side effect of you? Because I think you said you stopped eating red meat. Do you think it could be a side effect from that?
could be. The red meat is for an elimination diet, but no, I've always been anemic. And when the last panel of blood work was done, I was eating red meat. So it's not
Mm.
like I've taken red meat out of my entire diet. But yeah, I mean, I think I think you're right, Joe. It's more common in females because we have a cycle and all that mess. I won't dive into that, but typically females can be anemic. So yeah, we'll see if this iron supplementation works. And then they're trying a few things with cortisol, which is kind of crazy. Like it's a supplement, and Emily looked it up, and it's actually like there's a certain percent of people who their cortisol levels went up from taking this, so they're trying it out on me. But the medication is actually for like heroin and meth addicts to not be addicted to things.
So don't take any heroin while you're on it, or else you might have some adverse side
Anyways,
effects.
we were just dying. Emily and I were laughing as she looked it up. She was like, "Have you looked up what it's actually kind of used for?" But
This is like the Viagra effect.
but anyways, I just think it's cool that they're in the know of like these are different drugs for different things, but it's also helped raise cortisol levels and help do things other things besides I don't have a meth addiction or a heroin addiction, so there's that. But anyway,
You just go back to the doctor and say, "You guys know I'm not hooked on heroin or meth, right? I just want to clear that up."
Yeah.
Just perky.
I'm just perky.
Just perky.
Joe, how's your life?
Pretty good. I'm going to start with a tangent just because I want to. It was family was are asking about care packages to send for us for Christmas and stuff. So we just send them like a bunch of food that we can't get and a lot of it's like from Trader Joe's and whatnot. And my dad was like, "Okay, well, you should tell people what you don't want in the food so that they know not to get it." I'm like, "Dad, that's gonna be a way longer list than if I just specifically say go to this store and get this thing." And then I was like, "Well, just for shits and gigs, what if I just look up, because a lot of it's bad oil." So I looked up today, okay, what are healthy oils to eat, just to see if I could tell people to like, hey, go look at this. And on like 3 or 4 different things that I clicked, in the top 2 was always canola oil.
What?
And I was just like, come on. So I just want a PSA out there. Canola oil is not healthy. It's one of those things that when we're out looking at snacks, and we go to look at the ingredients to be like, okay, no added sugar. Right when we get the canola oil, we're like, nope, and put it back. So canola oil is not good. It's even though then some of these articles were written like 2 weeks ago. Anyway, moving on. I'm discovering some macros pros and cons. Some of the pros are I don't mind it. It's actually once you do it for a while, it's gotten pretty easy, and you get in a routine. And also, if you eat kind of the same regular stuff, kind of like Jerred, he's got your shake, you got what you do for lunch, and then the dinner is kind of like the X factor, and you might have a snack to balance out from there. It's not too bad. Although somebody did tell me that from my last update about my munching hour, it's actually called macro Tetris. So I like that. At the end of the day, you got to fit the right blocks into the right spots.
Just
I
so
got you. That
I
makes
always
sense.
try and get people to not do that. I know it's a thing, but when I was coaching people heavily on macros, I was like, hey, there's this thing that you might do at the end of the day. Don't do it. And here's how.
Well, Liz and I should heed that.
Well, it's more a behavioral thing, not like it's not going to work.
Mhm.
It's because when you're like at the end of your day and you're like, all right, 19 slices of deli meat and 14 almonds, you're like, it just becomes an unenjoyable process. And you're like, why am I doing this? But
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I'm realizing is that when it gets to the weekend, it's like, okay, I have 2 days where I don't have to count. I find myself snacking a lot more. So it's like I need to do the macros, but also at the same time, it's kind of disappointing that I need to do the macro counting, or else I'm just going to be a snacker or my levels will be all off or something. So I got to figure out a way to plan my meals a little bit better so that I'm not like that. But I don't really mind counting right now. So it's not that big of a deal for me it's not like I'm saying, okay, at 4 weeks, I'm going to stop. I will probably still keep doing it for a while because it's not that big of a deal.
question, why do you not count on the weekends?
Because it's the weekend, we need a break.
You could screw up the whole thing. How many calories are you eating per day?
What my calculator set at is 2,400.
2,400. So that's maintenance or slight deficit. So what if you
Slight
eat
deficit.
What if you eat like 3,700 on Saturday and Sunday? Your
See, I'm
average
actually don't-
calories per 7 days is going to be off, and you'll be at a surplus.
I think if anything, I'm under on the weekend because I don't have. I think my meals are smaller on the weekend.
So you're not doing like a splurge, like a
No,
eat
no, I
whatever
don't just
want
like.
weekend. Okay.
No, I don't. I don't go ham. I still. I mean, it's still eating the same paleo type foods anyway, and basically whatever Liz eats, I just eat a little bit more. But I'm not just like
20%
constantly
more on
eating.
my plate.
Basic. Well, we call it the 2/3, 1/3
True.
rule. Yeah.
So true. I always add like an extra scoop to Scott's plate too, like or 2 salmon patties versus 1 salmon patty for Scott.
Yeah.
Oh.
So goods and bads of the macro counting, but we'll see if I can dial in a little bit better so that I'm not. I mean, this past week I've planned my snacks a little bit better during the day so that at the end of the day I'm not jamming 700 calories after dinner. And lastly, I've been going through this little back injury. I had a little low back issue going on. It's about a bit of a, I think it might be a muscle strain from a couple of like 2 or so months ago when I was first lifting again and I was doing box squats. So it's just been a little aggravated, but taking it a little bit easy, and it's going pretty decent. So I'm just kind of taking it easy for the rest of the cycle until maybe fit week. I'm kind of wanted to test my back squat and press again because my 3 and 5 rep maxes were solid and felt really good. But we'll see how that goes. I can always delay it another cycle. I don't really mind doing that.
Yeah,
that's it.
Lower back tightness, something I've been dealing with since let's say the first day of BCT up to now. Yeah.
Nice. I try to remedy it by, so normally if I read or something around the house, instead of sitting on the couch, I'll try and sit on the floor and like hurdler stretches and like sit in my legs different ways to like rotate my hips more, open them up. Cause I think it's related to or similar to when I went to PT for hips last year. So I'm just going to do some of those practices, some of the things of sitting different ways so that I'm not like relaxed, hunched in the low back area. And then I'm opening up my hips a little bit more, just doing, even if I'm just like reading or doing nothing.
Reverse hyper helps too. Don't you have one of those now?
I would love one. No, this is like the one thing they don't have here.
Oh, I thought they did.
I like really want one too because I would love to have a little bit of a low back stretch. I can do the like body weight ones to where if you like hold it on the back of the GHD and lift your leg, but I don't have any weight to swing.
You can also try the boots that you put on your feet and hang upside down.
Oh God.
I had those and they actually made my back worse a long time ago. Like right before I went, I don't know what it was. But I used to have the gravity boots.
It's fun stuff.
So what's up, Jerred?
Not much.
Get some light on us like it is on your face.
Yeah, it's the sun shines brightly in Texas. All right. I don't have a lot. So I'll update everybody on the HQ saga that we're trying to build here. Still shut down by the city. Or the county, and then we're trying to work that out. So that's it. I'll let you guys know. But here's the actual update. If it completely falls through, we might get a space, like an actual business location space. So as opposed to a building in my backyard, there will be, I mean, to be honest, if I got a space, it would be like a small CrossFit gym style space. I wouldn't go get like an office somewhere because those types of warehouses they're super cheap. We wouldn't need something very big. I could still have space for Ashley because she called it. So,
Can we put a gym?
Oh, we just still sharing a desk.
Yeah, we'd put a gym in there, at least a squat rack and some other stuff. So I'll let you guys know. I'm really pushing for the keeping things in my backyard though. So we'll see. And the only reason we're thinking about that option is because it's about 1.7 miles from my house, the location of one of these like warehouse style.
So you could just run there.
I would run there every day. Yeah.
Plus events.
Bike.
Yeah. I would not bike. I would run. It's okay. BCT right now.
Oh, okay.
After next year, I would probably start biking. I haven't really touched my bike. I've been on it one time since BCT started because I just need to get better at running.
It's sitting right there. You can't see it because of my chair. Okay.
Yeah.
I tried to move. It's sitting over there all lonely and stuff. Yeah.
Training wise, I moved my days around this week. Kyle, you're not going to do this day until tomorrow, but we cut a day of squatting, added deadlifting, and like an actual. So we've been deadlifting occasionally, like it'll be in the programming somewhere, but very minimal. But now it's an actual like periodized deadlift on the BCT track to where there's a decent amount of volume. I did that yesterday because I flip-flopped my squat and deadlift day, and my back is pretty sore. Like all the way from my traps down to my lower back in a good way, not a bad sore. You know, it's nothing's hurt. It feels really good. So I have missed the deadlifting. I have really missed it, and I'm glad that it's back.
It's going to be a great day to have ripped up shins already.
Just wear knee sleeves and put them down on your shins. Do you have knee sleeves?
I do have
Shin
knee
guards.
sleeves.
Sure.
He's got really good knee sleeves. They're plenty long. So yeah, you can, or shin guards from soccer.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to academy, but before tomorrow.
That's a good idea because you could just slam it on the shins and like drag it straight up and no pain.
Hey.
That's
no pain.
Best advice.
That's why people listen to us, for all the hacks. All right, I think that's all I have. I love BCT. It doesn't love me as much, but I love the idea of it all. We've been trying a lot of new stuff with heart rate. I'm just going to leave a cliffhanger there because I'm using our small sample of 20, which I haven't checked in a while. I need to check to see if we've had more quitters. We probably have, and I haven't checked. So far, it's only 2 quitters.
I haven't noticed anyone else since the
Next
last person.
podcast, you're going to be called out.
They will all remain nameless.
Yeah,
there was somebody that did it public.
Yeah, all anonymous.
Yeah, he did rat himself out in the Facebook group. The only person I'll really call out is Trampus if he quits. And that's just for fun. Just for fun times.
Trampus.
Just because it's Trampus. But yeah.
Right.
So anyway, the heart rate stuff it could be a huge part of Garage Gym Athlete training moving forward. So I am excited about it. We'll see how the guinea pigs do, myself included. But let's get to this study. The study is mental fatigue. Mental fatigue reduces training volume in resistance exercise, a crossover and randomized study. So let me do something cool. There it is.
Boom. There it is.
You can see it. So it was done this year. There were 10 men. They were all in college. They'd been training for a while. So they're pretty young guys, early 20s. 10 men completed a vertical jump test and 3 sets of squat to failure at 70% of 1 rep max in 2 different conditions. In one condition, they completed these tests 15 minutes after performing a cognitive task that induced mental fatigue. In the other condition, they completed the test without first completing the cognitive task. They watched a video, right? They watched a documentary for 30 minutes. So they had like a control for this 30 minutes of mental fatigue. And the main purpose of the study was to examine if a cognitive task induced mental fatigue and if it would affect their squat volume and vertical jump performance, along with the motivation to train and RPE. I already mentioned that it was the Stroop test. If you guys are familiar, I think everyone's done the Stroop test in some way, shape, or form. It was in the Killing Comfort book on some of the studies that we looked at with sleep deprivation. The Stroop test is used pretty regularly. It's where it'll say the word green in red letters, and then you have to state what the color of the word is, or vice versa. You have to do it the other way. And it becomes I can't even really imagine doing 30 minutes of the Stroop test. Like the Stroop test is like a children's game at like 1 to 2 minute increments. But if you made me do the Stroop test for 30 straight minutes, I would be very mentally fatigued. And so I think that they selected a good one. I don't have any negative, like, oh, was that a good mentally fatiguing? That sounds like torture. So good job on their selection there. So yeah, everyone did everything, right? It was crossover. They got to do all the different parameters or the 2 different tests there. And let's see overall results. It did not affect the vertical jump, but it did affect the squat volume by 15.8% compared to the control condition. So it turns out having your brain a little whacked before you go into a training session can affect your overall volume in a squat. So what do you guys have from this one? Anything you pull out or find interesting?
I thought it was a pretty cool concept to kind of say, how does mental fatigue affect your training? Does it affect it at all? And it's not really something I've ever thought about, but I think it's a pretty cool concept. And also, just a side note, we've talked on here several times about how we kind of wish that there were strength coaches who are like in charge of helping implement these studies and things like that. When I was reading the study, the the squatting, they were only doing half squatting, right? They had safety arms set up to where they could only go to 90 degrees with their only parallel. But the way that they listed it in the study was half back squat exercise, and then they abbreviated it to HBSE, and that's how they referred to it. And I was like, I don't know anybody that would call it half back squat exercise. I don't know anybody that would say that. They would just say
parallel.
they would just say the squat, and then they would say it's at parallel, and that's it.
We called that power squat in high school.
Yeah. So
there's parallel
anyway,
squat and power squat.
Well,
anyway,
I just noticed that. I might be able to
funny.
squat 500 pounds today.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do it right now while we're recording. We'll just
I could probably hit that.
Over.
And now I just have to work on the mile.
So anyway, that kind of made me laugh a little bit just reading that okay, these guys are not gym bros. They're definitely researchers. Anyway, I think it's a pretty cool concept. And I tend to train around lunch. And so I've already been working during the day, and I've never really thought about it. Never really thought about, if that mental taxation from working is affecting like my squatting or anything that I'm doing. I haven't really thought about that, but now I'll be more cognitive of that and cognizant of that, not cognitive. Stupid.
I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, cognizant of that. Anyway, I'll be more mindful. I'm going to say mindful.
There
I'll
you
be
go.
more mindful of that moving forward. Also, they brought up an interesting point in the review that we read. Does it work in reverse as well? So that's a cool concept to think about too. Does training affect your mental cognition when you're working? So if you went and did a hard training session before you did work, before you had something mentally taxing that you had to focus on, would that hard training session affect your performance there as well? So nothing in the study. That's just purely, what maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But anyway, just another cool concept to think about.
I think it doesn't in reverse. I would think a workout only helps your mental performance. I had him on the Better Humanology podcast. His last name was like Ratty, something like that. His whole thing was exercise and how it helps the brain. He's like a PhD or something, and his main area of work these days is trying to get kids to exercise before school. And then I really pressed him for like, what should we do? And he has like some basic exercises that you should do to kind of get your brain more engaged. So I think it would have to be like maximal effort tests over and over again before it would affect your work performance. This is just my theory. I think that's a cool idea though, Kyle.
That's it. Who's next? Let Ashley go next.
So again, it affected their strength. And so I said, for me, it's funny because when I have something that's more mental, or if my day is kind of off, sometimes instead of doing the strength training, which I love strength training, if anyone has listened for a long period of time, I'll go on a run instead. And it just helps my mental like fog or what's going on in life or whatnot. It just kind of takes that away from me. So I just found it funny that, it was the strength that was most effective most affected instead of the vertical jump. But for our athletes, that's what I was going to say is, I know some of you guys train after work or, in the evening after a long day. So, the takeaway from this could be move your training, just what Kyle said. I know my husband, Scott, his work is very mentally taxing. And so, and it's a very long day. So even if that means he's up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym before he goes to work, that's what he does. He'd rather do that because he has noticed a significant difference of like, he actually won't, because he's so mentally tired. He's like, I'll just skip the gym today and I'll just go home because I just need a break. So yeah, that would be my takeaway from that. Is maybe like exactly what Kyle said, like be more mindful of your training and see I work out in the morning with Connor. Like it's not first thing. I kind of have my morning routine, like my Bible study and stuff like that, but that's not really taxing. So I don't know. And I just like to start my day out right with training. So I haven't personally, I can't speak personally to this study, but yeah.
Pretty cool that it quantified how it affects how basically if you were to do work or like a paper or presentation or something, how it will affect your performance versus just you know being mentally tired and not motivated, because everybody has those days as well, but there's also like legitness behind mentally fatigued and how it can impact your performance. And I think something to take away is not all gym time should be treated equally, and that's like time of day when you would do that with versus like before or after certain things you have going on. I know with training, people will look at their schedule and go, okay, training only take me an hour, so I can fit an hour in right here, whether it's after dinner, before dinner, something like that. But just know that certain times of day, depending on if it's going to be after something mentally fatiguing, then it could affect what you're doing. And that's why one of the benefits of with our training, because we program 4 days a week, but we all mix those days up depending on, like, we don't have to do those in that order. We all mix those days up. And I think this shows even more so that, hey, if you have something going on at a big meeting, a big presentation at work, maybe look at the days of what you're doing. And if you have a high intensity, high effort, heavy something, maybe don't do that on the day that's after what you're doing. Do it on a day that you have less things going on. So you can use sort of your advantage to put your days in certain order so that, okay, I know this day is going to be a little bit easier, a little bit more lax. I should do my hard training that I need to be really dialed in mentally on that day, so that I can do that. And then, like, if it's accessory work, zone 2, other conditions, like, okay, that's going to be a good thing to have on a day that is, I'll be completely mentally wiped, but I can just get in there and I can get the work done still. So I think that would be a good thing for especially our athletes and everybody that, depending on what their training is, that to take away from it.
I like that idea.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to the podcast title or topic last week of "It All Matters." Like it all matters. And I notice this in a major way. So I know we have some people on the team saying you guys don't notice it. That's not true for me. I absolutely notice it. It is based off of the type of work I'm doing that day. If I'm doing something that's really tedious, like I love doing what we're doing right now. I love the podcast. I actually normally feel like energized and like good after the podcast. I really enjoy doing what we're doing right now, but there are parts of the job, that I don't like doing. Some things are just a little bit more tedious or technical, that wear me down mentally. And if I have to do tasks like that for hours in a row, which some days it might just be the case, then I am very mentally drained and I do not want to go train. So I have to think about that, kind of like what Joe's saying. I have to think about how I'm structuring my day or where my workout's going to go. That way I can just plan accordingly. I know there are days, like, I like doing this podcast that we're doing, but I've been interviewed on other people's podcasts, and that's just a little bit more, it's actually easier if you don't have to like guide the conversation and stuff. It is harder to be the interviewer, but I've had so much practice at it, I don't think about it as much. But when you're being interviewed by somebody, or if you do, like, I've done like 3 and 4 of those podcasts, like when the book was coming out, like all back to back, I'm kind of brain dead at the end of the day. It's very hard for me to want to go train. And I think I'm similar to Ashley, the only thing that if I'm like at the end of the day, I didn't train, but I know I need to get it in. The only thing I feel like I can go do is run. It's like the only, and maybe because it takes the least amount of, bandwidth, because especially if I'm not trying to go for a pace or anything, all I have to do, put on some shoes, running shoes, and then step out my front door or whatever. And that's about all I can do if I'm incredibly fatigued mentally. So that's something that you got to think about. But I do want to play the other side of that as well. If you're like me, or you do get mentally fatigued and it affects your performance, my question would be, they had this, what Kyle said, does it work in reverse? My question would be, to what extent could you train this? Because an added stressor is something that we're supposed to just overcome, right? Like, we can adapt and grow stronger. So if you had to do 9 hours of ridiculous, tedious work, which is what's draining for me, and then I had to go train after that, I'm sure for 3 months that would just suck, right? But I wonder if over time I would just adapt and my brain would be accustomed to giving a higher performance after being very mentally fatigued. That's my question. Or would my performance always just suffer? That's the big question I had about the study, is how much could we train it and how much should we coddle our minds? You know what I mean? So
Foreshadowing.
not for this podcast, but
No.
it is some for foreshadowing. So I thought it was really interesting. A couple other things, just brain related to performance. In the review that we read, they had 15 linked studies to aerobic performance, and 13 out of 15 showed that mental fatigue harmed acute aerobic performance. So saying I can go out on that run, I have the energy to start that and do it, but maybe my performance isn't there as well. So it's true for aerobic performance, also true for strength training. And then in the book Endure, he talks about Alex Hutchinson. He talks about endurance athletes who were flashed like a bunch of pictures really fast, and then they would see how it affected their performance. And the people who were flashed like happy images and smiling faces performed like 17.8% better than the people who were shown negative images and frowning faces and stuff. So it's really interesting how much your brain really plays into your performance overall. So if you do need to perform, I don't know how much it matters, maybe like on a daily training session, but I think about all these things. Like if I'm going for the 500-pound back squat and 5-minute mile on the same day, if and when I get to that point, I'm thinking about all these things. I'm like, okay, I think I'm just gonna have to give my kids away for like 2 days leading up to that, and on the day of. So I'm, that where I'm not stressed out. I'm just messing around. I love my children very much, but yeah, I'm thinking about all these things that go into performance. I think it's really interesting how much the brain really can affect you.
This is why I changed up my workout schedule this year. When I was in San Diego, the entire time my routine was, okay, wake up, make coffee. I do 3 hours. Then at about after that, I would go work out, do my lunch and stuff, and then I come back to work and do that. Well, with earlier this year, around March, April timeframe, there was just, not having a house, and then like being in flux and keep getting bad news and all the kinds of negativity. And by the time I would get to that point of lunchtime, it was just like, and after a couple hours of work, I would just be basically drained. Even if I didn't work that hard, it was just taxing to even if you had like taking on any kind of negativity and stress and anything like that, that I did not feel like working out. And when I did it, I was already out of a gym. There was lockdown was going on. I knew that I was only going to work out maybe 4 days a week, but I needed to make those days count. So I switched my entire schedule to, okay, I'll wake up, I'll have a little coffee, and then 40 minutes later, or whatever, I'm not even going to pick up my computer. I won't look at my phone that much. And I'm just going to work out right away, knock it out. And I felt so much better to do it then. And then I did work, and then the day was better. And the training went better and everything like that. So it makes a difference.
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest differences I noticed too is moving from military to civilian life on my levels of mental fatigue, which sounds interesting because I was much less mentally fatigued in the military, because the military allows for crazy compartmentalization of your life. Like you can be military guy at your job. You can leave that, completely forget about it, and then be a family man and be a husband, be a father at night. So that really helped me. And then I took a job outside as a civilian where basically my pay was 100% tied to my performance, my results, which I think is a good way to get paid, but it also makes your brain almost constantly on. Now in entrepreneurship, that's the only way I get paid, is a 100% tied to results. So I cannot compartmentalize my life anymore, which caused a lot of mental fatigue. Because when I was in the military, I could get off work and then go train at the end of the day. And granted, at the end of my career, I was not flying jets like Scott. So don't not a comparison there, because what Scott's doing from my flying days, that's like the most mentally draining thing you can do on planet Earth. So right in line, I agree with how Scott worked it. Mine was basically a desk job towards the end of my career and just wasn't mentally draining for me. So very different. So I do think it'd be different for your job. If any other military people are like, what the hell? Like my job was very easy at the end of my career, but it wasn't just like it could still be tedious, mentally fatiguing type stuff. And leadership role as an officer was very mentally fatiguing and challenging. But it was the compartmentalization is something I really noticed, was like, oh, I can't walk away in this new world and forget about everything. And I'm sure a lot of people who really care about their careers, whatever you're doing, you might be the same way. You can't just walk away from it at the end of the day, because you can't. In the military, you're kind of taken care of. You're like, you get paid what you get paid. You can't really influence that. Your job is done at the end of the day for the most part. I also worked with a lot of like top secret material at the end of my career. Literally can't take that shit home. So it was impossible for me to work from home. So yeah. Anyway, random tangent Joe reminded me of with his.
Well, yeah, it's actually kind of funny because I remember when you used to do your couple of weeks when the business was going on, and I think it was just me on the team, and it would be like 4 o'clock in the afternoon because it would be just 2 weeks, you by yourself off in Florida, and then you'd be like, it's 4 o'clock, I'm bored, I got nothing to do, I'm done everything, I've even done like EO3 work, I got nothing to do.
Dude, no kids, by myself. Yeah, it's just like, challenge me. You're right. Give me something harder to do. But taking care of one human, which is yourself, is like the easiest thing on the planet. You add another human being in there and multiple, or just it gets a lot more taxing. All right. Want to move to non-staple foods? What you got, Joe?
This week on our segment of non-staple things, we are talking about stress and how to relieve stress and decompress. And I've already eliminated the out answer of working out. So
we're not allowed to say fitness.
No fitness answers here. And we've talked about also in the past of down regulation. This is more of a pre-bed thing of how we down regulate to do that. But I'm talking like when you get stressed during the day or life gets stressful, things happen, and you need to really decompress mentally and take the edge off. What do you do to help your mind honestly get right for if you do have too much bandwidth going, or whatever Jerred said? So
Kyle
Ashley
should go first.
Okay, we got Kyle.
I'm just
should go first.
Your last point. I just read it and laughed out loud.
Okay.
By the way, I forgot to compliment your arrangement, your assortment of Christmas mugs. I'm very jealous. That's the third one I've seen. I don't even have one. So somebody send me a Christmas mug. I just need it to complete my
okay.
life.
We'll get you
Even
for
though
your
it's
Christmas gift.
7 o'clock at night right now, and I'm not going to
We'll
drink
get
coffee
you an
right now, but
EO3
still.
Christmas mug.
Yeah.
It'll take 17 weeks to get there.
A Jerred Santa. Kyle, what you got?
Anyway, I would say when it comes to de-stressing, there are several different things. Obviously, fitness is part of it, but I can't say that. So I didn't say that. I would say reading really helps me out a lot, mainly because reading actually kind of puts me to sleep. So I can't typically read for very long. So before I'm like nodding off, it doesn't matter what time of day it is.
Is this
that's
a physical
why
book or is this your Audible though?
No, Audible, I can listen to Audible all day. I can listen to a book all day long. But, a lot of people don't consider Audible reading. So
I am that
that's the
person. It's not
distinction.
reading.
I can
But
listen to a book all day
by
long, but
definition.
if I'm sitting down with a print version of a book, it typically doesn't really matter what I've been doing before or what time of day it is. I could start nodding off within a few minutes. So, which is also why I read right before I go to sleep. But anyway, reading helps me de-stress, helps me chill out. Also, my new hobby that I took up, disc golf. Again, I want to clarify, I've been playing disc golf since I was in high school. Just I'm getting more serious about it now, and I'm playing regularly now with some other people.
Why is that a
Does this count as-
disclaimer? That's a weird
Well, I
disclaimer.
didn't say that before, and I feel like when I first brought it up a couple episodes ago, like it kind of made it seem like
You
I'm
just
just
discovered
now
it?
starting to play disc golf.
Got it.
And no, I've been
You
playing.
want people
for
to
a
know
long
you're an
time.
OG.
Right.
You're an
He's got his own
Right.
set. Yeah.
Right.
OG of
Anyway.
the DG. Got it.
OGDG. That's right. Okay. Anyway, so disc golf, that helps me as well. Of course, I also kind of suck at it, so maybe that kind of adds more stress sometimes. Just depends on the day. Anyway, take a drive as well. Get outside, and some people get outside and run or walk, but I can't say fitness, so I'm gonna say take a drive. I get in my truck and just drive around. Maybe there's some errands that I need to run anyway, so I get out and do some of that stuff. Pop the AirPods in, listen to a book, listen to a podcast, something like that. Okay, so this is the one that Ashley was laughing about. My last point would be just rage out and yell a lot and break stuff. So that's
Like your
helpful
shins.
for that's helpful for de-stressing. So
Not a
Okay.
bad plan for fitness.
right.
So let's clarify. Like, do you have like a pad you like punch? Do you have like a punching bag? Do you like?
I mostly put this one in just to be funny, but I don't really break stuff very often.
Okay.
There are some things around the house that need to be like cleaned up. Like we've got like old pallets and stuff sitting around the house, and
They're just there to break.
things that I can break if I need to. I've been needing to haul them off and get them away from the house, but they haven't made it yet. So, or go outside and just break some stuff outside, like break some, I don't know. Anyway, raging out and like yelling would probably be more. And I'm here by myself at the house most of the time, so my yelling doesn't really affect anyone but me. And but yeah, just yell for a few minutes and then it all goes away.
All I'm
And I
hearing
don't
in
need
my
to
head
yell
right now
anymore.
is Limp Bizkit.
Break stuff.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh man.
Ashley?
So I will second reading, like Kyle said. Mine specifically is Bible reading. I turn to my Bible a lot if I'm just mentally taxed, and I've got certain verses, but my favorite thing to do is kind of do the random, like, okay, open it up. What's the Lord going to teach me today kind of thing. I said meditation because it can be down regulation, because that was another stipulation of Joe's, but meditation during the middle of the day, like I try to make that a habit. It's more a habit for down regulation for me, but if I just can't see past whatever it is that's getting in my way, I definitely I actually use the breathing app that Jerred recommended now, and I just do a couple like sessions of those and I feel a lot better. I did say walks because I didn't really, this is going to sound terrible, but I was like, walks is not fitness. Like I take walks to just get out. So I pop a podcast in, or sometimes the best walks for me are just silence, like, and just let things kind of flow and figure out. But, and then the last thing I said was laughter. Like there are some times where I'm just like, I need to belly laugh. And so for me, it's not binging a show, but maybe an episode of something that I know like will make me laugh. Like New Girl is Schmidt. I don't know why. He will make me belly laugh, like snot come out, like it's ugly laughing. But that's what I need sometimes. Or an episode of Friends. I know how some people feel about that on this podcast.
We're not gonna go there.
If they speak up, they're getting booted.
Kyle. So it would be The Office for Kyle, or maybe Jerred. But yeah, I just figure out sometimes, we talked about happy faces and stuff, like laughter always gets me going and gets me over the hump. So That's mine.
Cool. I will also echo reading, fun reading, fiction reading, other world reading. You know, the good stuff where you're not learning anything.
Is that where
But
you
can get
learned the
out to
penny
another
on the
world.
arm thing? I feel like that was a fiction thing that you read in a book one
No,
time.
I
That's
mean, I'm
not
sure
real.
I've learned all
That's
kinds of
the
great life
problem with
lessons.
putting too much fiction in the brain. You don't know what's
Just
reality anymore.
no, I think I'm
Okay.
just broadening your mind. It's going to be blown. I'm telling you, someone's going to post and say that they did it. Actually, I think you need to go find a penny. You're the anemic one.
I
Just to
will.
test it
I'm
out.
gonna find it.
I'm going to tackle Liz and try it on her. Anyway,
Tackle.
so after that, when we were in San Diego, we used to do a lot of hikes on the weekends and on Saturdays, especially, mostly because I'm in the house all day. I work from home. I work out at home, and I never left the house unless I grocery shopped. And then she was on a ship, so she was just in a steel box all week for 12 hours a day. So we would get out and go on a hike, go on a walk, and just be outside. It is great for that. Just hanging out outside. Now it's paddleboarding because there's nothing to hike here. Everything is at or below sea level. So we just paddleboard. So being outside is great. Getting that sunshine helps on the weekends. And then none of you guys do that. Well, actually, that actually does. Video games. I still play video games. I like it. They're fun. Uh, I those I do because it's if I really need to decompress and stuff, then it's a very passive medium. Like, yes, you're actively doing something, but it's still passive in the way that you can kind of turn your brain on autopilot like you would a show or a TV. It's just a more active way of being passive. Because it's when I play video games, I'm not looking at my phone, looking at social media, multitasking or anything. I'm just playing, and that's it. And yeah, it's just like reading. You can get lost in games and worlds and stuff. But that's mostly what I do. Yeah, Jared.
Just wish them away, and then they are gone.
Oh
The
yeah,
negative
that's
thoughts.
cool.
No, okay. So the
Push
big
them
thing,
down
if I
deep.
need to decompress or I'm stressed out, the overarching theme for me would be state change. So I need to change my state, and I have to do that
Or location
in
within the state.
Like Oklahoma or
relatively
something.
aggressive state changes. So cold shower with no hot water warm up. Just so we're clear
Wow.
on the difference here, if you go from hot to cold, that's okay. I'll give
Yeah.
you a pass for a cold shower. But if you want something aggressive, wake you up, can't be in a bad mood after. Really, it's hard to do. Turn the water as cold as it will go. Take off your clothes. Get in.
Negative.
There you go. Don't forget the clothes coming off. And then you just hop straight in to a cold shower. That will change my state. Ice bath, same thing. Sauna, same thing. I know this is kind of like Ashley's walking burpees. I know that's technically fitness, but this is
Burpees and walking are so different.
no, they're
Not the
basically the
same
same.
at
They're
all.
basically the same. You do 27 burpees if you're in a bad mood or something, and you're instantaneously not in a bad mood
27.
anymore.
Not
It needs
28.
to. It can't be like 6. If you're like, I'm gonna do 6 burpees, you have to get to that point in burpees where you're like, am I really still doing burpees? That's normally about 27 for me.
where you're
So-
where you're mad at the burpees instead of mad about whatever you were mad about before.
Well, when
Mad
you
at Jared
start-
for making me do 27 burpees.
When you do like 10, you're like that. I don't know. Maybe by number 10, your heart rate's starting to get elevated, right? And then by 20, it has since been elevated. And then by 27, you're like, okay, I'm just doing a workout now. This is stupid. And that's right where you cut it off. Right.
I get to
where-
the this is stupid point before burpee number 1. So
well, see, you got to force yourself to do it. It'll change your state. So
okay.
that
I'll do one burpee. This is stupid. I'm done.
You got try 27. Just
Okay,
hold to
I'll
my
try
number.
27.
Hold to my number and see how it works.
All right.
I know that might have broken the rules a little bit, Joe, but it's not like
A lot
going
of
to
it.
work. But I'm not like going to work out. You know, it's like that's different. That's like my training, which is very much a stress relief factor that I'm not allowed to mention.
New
and then-
tagline: burpees. It's like walking but vertical.
There you go. It's the same thing.
Trampus, make it a shirt.
Breathing, I do use if you're wondering what app Ashley's referring to, I think it's called Breathworks. So you guys can check that out. I do use that. If I do need something a little bit stronger, if you will, Wim Hof breathing, which they also have an app. That one, if you do Wim Hof breathing right, you know,
You could
that
pass
should
out.
work. Yeah. So it's good. So those are basically all my, all these other things that you guys mentioned don't work for me, like reading or going for a walk or getting outside. I wish they did. I have to like basically almost jolt myself with electricity to change a negative mental state. But I'm very aware of when I'm getting into those states, and I have not tried electricity yet.
It reminds me of Home Alone 2,
man.
which
Might work.
Joe and I just watched yesterday. So
Yeah, my kids watch both.
What are we
of-
watching tonight, Ashley?
well, it's Elf.
Same thing we watch
I
every
haven't
night.
watched Elf.
Nice.
Anyways,
Jerred, I thought of something else for you though.
Oh, do I
Um,
have another thing that I do?
I mean, well, this
for you to try.
it's kind of borderline of like decompress and be away, and that's your new phone.
Oh yeah, that's brand new though. I would say that worked incredibly well. I should have given an update about that because this was my first. I've had the phone for 2 weekends, but the first weekend was Better Human Friday. That's not a good time to not be connected. So
Yeah.
I just abandoned that the whole
It was a
first
working
weekend
weekend.
there. The second weekend, this past weekend, I used the phone and was completely disconnected. It was great. You know, there is a little bit of anxiety with that because our programming posts in the middle of the weekend, Sunday morning for most people. And that's also where we find out if there's something's broken. You know, and so that's always like, hope we're okay. I normally check on those things on the weekend. I didn't check on anything. And I do think rolling into this week, like, you know how when you take a vacation, you're kind of like ready, you're a little bit more motivated just to tackle, let's say, life in general when you get back. I felt more like that at the start of this week and, you know, rolling into this week. And I attribute possibly the complete disconnection. So, yeah, it's a good one. But it's new. It's new.
Seems like it's already working though.
Yeah.
Cool new trick.
Look what I can do.
new.
All righty. Here,
Cheeks.
look what I can do. There's something I
Mhm.
just threw on the screen.
There we go.
Going to the workout. Burpee Save Me. I guess since I have it on the screen, I'll just go ahead and brief
Yours.
it. Time trial, 2,000 meter row. Already worst thing ever. Rest 7 minutes. Max burpees in 9 minutes. If you reach 109 reps or more, the burpees save you. If not, another 2,000 meter row or run.
Just vertical walking.
Yeah. So here's my
Isn't-
story on this one.
Isn't walking already vertical?
I mean, horizontally.
You walk,
But you're standing up.
but the distance you cover is
The
horizontal.
movement is horizontal.
Can we go to your story?
All right. Go ahead.
All right. My
it
story
now.
on this one is I didn't test the full workout. You know, I knew what my 2,000 meter time trial would be. And then I separately tested what I thought a good amount of burpees would be in 9 minutes. So I did a couple of 9-minute tests of burpees to try and set what they should be, what it should be. And I cleared 109 pretty easily, you know. And so when I was doing my 9-minute test, and so then I was like, okay, I kind of averaged out how many burpees per minute and all this stuff. And then I came up with that number. But then when it first officially came up in the programming, I happened to be on a trip with my family in Colorado. And we were at, I think it was like seriously like 9,000 feet of elevation where our hotel was. And it was Saturday. And this was the programmed workout. And I almost did not make it. Burpees almost because of that elevation. I did a 2,000 meter row, you know, hypoxic, and then immediately went into 109 burpees. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it. Like, I was like, it's not going to happen. I had to go all out like the last 120 seconds of just like not stopping to be able to get it. And I got it, luckily. But yeah, that's it. This one's, it sucks all around. There's nothing good about it. It's two of the worst things combined, 2,000 meter time trial and burpees. So no tips from me, just a story. So I'll throw it to you guys.
I'll say the
tips
last time
are-
I did this, I got this close to being saved by the burpees. This close. And I
So
think that was
crush it.
worse. I think that was worse than missing it by a mile, because
Did you miss it by one?
I think I missed it by like 2 or 3 burpees. Like I was right there. And then I was like, and then of course I had to go do another 2,000 meters. So I was like,
Raged out and yelled and broke
I
stuff.
raged out and yelled a lot that day. Yeah, that was, I may have broken some things that day. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I would say, I don't really know. Just go faster, I guess. Just,
Oh,
I guess that's the only
I was
thing.
hoping I wasn't going to have to say it. So
Because I was so close. I was right there. And all I had to do is just go a little bit faster, and I wouldn't have had to do another 2,000 meters.
I said the row, don't sandbag. Like, it's supposed to suck. So, do it like your time trial. That's why it's written in there. So if you sandbag the row, then yeah, you can make it kind of easy. But well, I don't know. 109 burpees aren't easy, but anyways. And then yeah, for the burpees, I said don't stop moving. Even if you have to slow your pace down a little bit, just get down and get back up. And then yeah, you kind of have to go and speed it up, kind of what Jerred did the last 2 minutes or whatnot, like finish those out, because the point is to not do that other 2,000 meter row. And then for wine tasting this week, I did EDM. The suggestions I had were Martin Garrix or Tiesto, or you could finish out the 2,000 meter row with my favorite 2,000 meter row song, Greyhound by Swedish House Mafia. It'll really get you going.
Well done.
Speaking of, I found a weird new artist, Spiffy Man. Everyone check out Spiffy Man when you get a chance. And that's all I'll say. Sorry for interrupting, Joe. Go ahead.
It's actually Jerred. It's Jerred. He's starting a music career.
Alter ego. Turns his hat backwards. So my first note is I will and do always deny burpees as my savior. But I think you got to go into this and have a plan. So break down what 9-minute or 109 burpees is in 9 minutes. Break it down into like 30-second chunks, and know that every 30 seconds you have to hit X amount, whatever that is. And if you hit it in 25 seconds, take 5-second breather, and then hit the next 30-second chunk and get it out. So you hit your 109.
That's what I tried to do on top of the mountain, and it was very discouraging because I just wasn't keeping the pace. I wasn't keeping the pace every minute. I was like, well, that's not on pace. Again, that's not on pace. Shit. And then I was just like, okay, go as fast as you can. Empty the tank.
You miss a couple minutes on that, you're way behind.
Yeah.
A couple of minutes. Jeez. Just go sit on your rower. Don't even wait for the 9.
Yeah. You do like 15 burpees. You're like, I'm just going to do another 2,000.
Yeah. See ya. You could do that too if you really want. Just
no,
one burpee. No.
Caveat for 9 minutes, you have to be moving.
Is that it, Joe?
I guess so.
I guess he didn't say anything.
Yeah. So that's mine. That's it.
All right, cool. Well, that is it for this week. If you are not a part of the programming, you really need to be. We are ending the year, all of us. 2020 is over. No need to be scared anymore. Let's go into 2021. It's going to be a much better year. I can almost guarantee it. Much better year than 2020. And we can help you make that a phenomenal year. And if you go to garagegymathlete.com, sign up for a free trial, that year is going to be awesome. We do have a new cycle coming up, new cycle webinar, a lot of stuff coming out, free programming for you to see, the sample programming for the next cycle, all this good stuff. And so if you're like, hey, I don't want to sign up for the free trial, I want to see all these other things you're talking about, well, then you need to go to a different website altogether. And it's called endofthreefitness.com. You'll see in the menu, there's a little button to click on 5-Line Friday. That's the only way I tell anybody about anything is 5-Line Friday. So if you want to know what's going on, you want to see sample programming, you want to get the invitation to the webinar, this is the central location we do it, because let's face it, I could put it an Instagram link in bio and then the Facebook here. And like, let's just keep it all in one spot. 5-Line Friday, go sign up for that newsletter and we'll make sure that you are aware of everything that's going on at Garage Gym Athlete and End of 3 Fitness. For all of our athletes who are going into another year, our lifers, our annual plan people, and everyone else going into 2021, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being awesome and being part of the community. But that's it. That's all I got for this week.
This week's Fit Week.
Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.